Yo guys, what is going on? It is your boy TZ or TZ Smokes, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today guys, we're going to be talking about the time that I almost got a DUI. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So today's video takes place about 5 years ago. Today was like any other day. th- we didn't really expect, well, me and my girlfriend didn't really expect for any of this to kind of go down and happen. But pretty much we woke up, she had to work later on in the day. I didn't really factor that in because I'm a fucking dumbass. So we kind of went along the day. I was smoking, she was smoking. We are a lot younger at the time, mind that, keep that in mind. So we're not really thinking about it. She doesn't really care. I don't really care. And then it comes down to, okay, she's starting to get ready for work. She's got to go soon. I'm still smoking. She starts getting ready. I remember I had like 2 beers or something like that. And then I go and I drive her to work. Nothing was wrong. I get her there. I come back. But the thing is, I go back home and I keep smoking. I think I may have had another beer or whatever. And then I kind of forgot that I had to pick her up. So she's calling me like, a few hours later. Um, I had went and I had hung out with one of my homies, and I'm just gonna name drop because it doesn't really matter. He knows that we do the YouTube, and there's nothing I'm really gonna say that's gonna get anyone in trouble. So I'm hanging out with my homie Carter. Carter's actually in some of my YouTube shorts and stuff like that. He's a really good friend of mine. But anyways, me and him were chilling. We're hitting tokes. We probably mucked another few beers. But I remember we were just hitting bare tokes, few dabs, and then I remember I was eating a lot of edibles at this time, so I was probably hyped up on a bunch of those. Um, so she calls me, and she's like getting ready, like kind of to leave. Not so I'm like, all right, bet. So I have to go re-up on some like other weed and shit like that, because I was also selling at this time. So I was picking out some kush, I was picking out some edibles and shit, and I'd went and I'd see my homie Jugs. So I went and I picked this up from him, and then I start heading like to town to pick her up, and I guess I was kind of driving like a dick, but I was smoking a joint while I was driving, which is so fucking stupid. Like, don't do that. But a lot of this time I was always driving like an idiot, smoking a joint, and I had a bong in the back of the car, right? So I'm fucking doing this, just complete idiot of the month, and I'm kind of driving out. I live in a what do you want to call it? A subdivision of a bigger city, right? So I'm driving into town, right? And there's a spot check. So pretty much the way that's kind of like laid out is there's kind of like under this overpass underpass sort of thing. Sorry, I'm really bad at kind of explaining the roadways and stuff like that. But like an underpass, and the cops had kind of set it up, and then they had cops that like to turn around points and stuff. So if you try and bust a U-turn on them bitches, they're gonna turn around, they're gonna go get your bitch ass. So I'm like, fuck, bro. I'm smoking a joint, right? I got a bong in the back of the car. I got edibles right next to me, like, bro, absolute disaster. And I had some blow in the car and shit, so that wasn't good. But anyways, man, so I'm pulling up to this spot check. Like, I fucking threw the joint out the window. I was trying to air it out before I got up to it. I had this like it wasn't Ozium spray. I've never had Ozium out here, but we've always had like some kind of spray for like the smell and shit like that. Usually, I would use scent bomb. Scent bomb is fucking clutch. All right, any of y'all that smoke in your vehicle and stuff like that, scent bomb, absolutely amazing. That will get the smell up, man. I've been pulled over. All right, I smoke in my vehicle a lot at night when I'm at my house and stuff like that. So for me, like, I don't want to get pulled over and taken to jail because I smoke at night and shit. And, like, I don't smoke in the crib, and I don't want to stand outside and freeze my ass off when I'm smoking, right? So I smoke inside of my truck. And I just use the scent bomb, and then I have, like, this scent bomb. Um, it's like a wick. Not a wick, but it's kind of like in a tin can, and you can put it over your vent, and it just kind of emits the scent of it. Anyways, I use that, man. That absolutely kills all the smell. So I never really worry about smell and shit like that anymore. Um, but nevertheless, man, I pull up to this checkpoint, all right, And I'm like 5 cars behind the officers that are like, going up to the cars and stuff like that. But they're moving quick, bro. Right? Because people aren't getting pulled out of their vehicles and shit. So eventually it gets up to me, right? Instantly, the cop looks at me and he asks for my license. I give it to him. And he's like, anything to smoke? No, no, no. And I don't. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, man. Because I was young, my eyes used to get red. Instantly, the cop looks at me and he asks for my license. I give it to him. And he's like, anything to smoke? No, no, no. And I don't. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, man. Because I was young, my eyes used to get red as shit. I lied to this man, right? I was like, no, officer, I didn't smoke anything, I didn't drink nothing. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna need you to shut off the vehicle and get out. I was like, shit. So he got me out, man, and we started doing the whole fucking field sobriety test. But it kind of got weird, right? So he pulls me out, he's doing this, and I passed the test, all right? The only thing I kind of fucked up on was the heel toe. So I was trying to put one foot in front of the other and just go in a straight line, and I fell, all right? But everything else, like the coordination from like the pen in the eyes and all that kind of shit, I passed. Like I was fine, right? But he says like, "Hey, go get back in your vehicle." Now I'm waiting there for probably like another fucking 5 or 10 minutes, probably. And the cop comes back to my car, okay, and like I guess okay, hang on. I kind of left this part out. When they had came up to my vehicle, they had seen the bong that was in the back. They didn't see the edibles and shit, but they had seen the bong, and that was kind of like the whole like cause of me having to get out of the vehicle in the first place, right? Was them seeing that. So, anyways, nevertheless, I get put, and all that happens, right? And I get let back into the vehicle. Okay. The cops obviously took the bong out of the car and stuff like that. But they didn't search it yet, right? Now I'm back in my vehicle, all right? The cop comes back up to my car and he starts explaining to me some like bullshit. And then he's basically telling me that I'm going to get a ticket for cannabis in reach of the driver and drug paraphernalia in the reach of the driver. Or something along those lines for the other one, but there was 2 tickets. All right? And then he said that he was going to search my vehicle because they had found weed, they had probable cause. And then the other officer had to tell him no. There was some reason that he wasn't actually able to search my vehicle. I think it was due to them letting me back in and that they had all the time in the world to kind of do it before. And now it was kind of like, I was compliant. I gave them what they had asked for. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't exactly know how that kind of played out in my favor on that one there. Well, this whole thing kind of did. But I didn't end up getting my vehicle searched, which if I would have, I would have been in jail, right? So pretty much, man, they let me go, right? He gives me my tickets, and I didn't really look at them too much, right? He gives them to me. I go pick up my girlfriend. I'm telling her about it. She's like, "Oh, that fucking sucks," like she didn't really give a shit. I didn't really give a fuck, dude. I was all fucked up and shit, so it didn't really matter to me. Um, the only thing that mattered was I didn't have the money to pay for it, right? So, anyways, I bring my girlfriend back to her house, and then I go back to my house to kind of like tell my parents about it, right? Okay. First of all, like they had thought that it was driving intoxicated, this and that, and then I had to explain to them that if I was driving intoxicated or got the charge for it, like this is definitely not how that would have played out. But anywho, they were pissed off, and then my dad had kind of looked at the ticket, right? And he had said like, "This doesn't make sense." I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "The date's wrong on it." So I guess the officer, for both tickets, mind you, at the top, there's like a date portion where they have to write it in. It was not wrote in correctly, right? Or punched in correctly. Whatever he had to do with the date, it was not put in correctly, all right? So some time had passed, like after this, and my dad didn't really know what that kind of meant and shit, and neither did I. But it kind of came to the part where I either had to go to court or pay the ticket and shit. So I called. Um, I think it was the police station. I forget who it was. Like I've not having had a ticket in a while, man. So, I had called whoever it was and had gave them like the number on the ticket for it, and it wasn't in their system. And then she's asking me all these questions, and then she says, "Well, what's the date on the ticket?" And then I read it out, and she's like, "Oh, well, that makes sense. It's not in our system." So they were stupid enough to not arrest me for DUI, because I'm telling you right now, dude, my eyes were more red than a fucking Pringles can. Okay, my shit was red as fuck. All right, and I was definitely not super sober, but I'm kind of fucked and stoned and shit all the time, so it kind of makes sense that I was like a little bit coordinated and whatever. Um, but the fact that that officer was like, "Yeah, you're good to drive," mod. No, I wasn't. I would have arrested my dumbass, man. But anywho, um, he put the wrong date on the ticket. They didn't have it in their system, so pretty much like the girl on the phone told me like, I guess it's your lucky day. Like, I've never won the lottery, but for me, that's kind of like winning the lottery, right? Um, so yeah. And then I just kind of threw out the tickets, man, because I never had anything come out of it. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's the story of how I uh almost got a DUI and avoided a cannabis at the reach of the driver charge. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on that post notification bell because, cops are stupid and write the wrong dates on the tickets.